Ethan had always been curious. Even as a child, he would sneak into the woods near his house to explore old, abandoned structures or chase after the glow of insects at night. Now, as a young engineer working at a government research facility on the outskirts of the city, his curiosity had taken a new form. He was testing a prototype drone, a small craft designed to hover silently and record data without being detected. It was late at night, and the facility was quiet. Almost too quiet. The hum of the machines inside was distant, and the only sounds outside were the rustling leaves and the faint buzz of the drone's engines. Ethan was about to call it a night when a sudden flash of light streaked across the sky, brighter than any drone or satellite he had ever seen. It crashed somewhere in the woods, a few hundred meters away. Without thinking, Ethan turned off the drone's engine and sprinted toward the source of the light. His heart pounded with excitement and a little fear. Something had fallen from the sky. And it was his curiosity, not caution, that drove him forward. As he reached the clearing, he froze. In the center, bathed in a soft, shimmering light, was a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. She was humanoid but not entirely human. Her skin had a subtle glow, and her eyes were large, deep, and filled with an intelligence that seemed far beyond the average human. Her hair shimmered like silver threads, and even in her injured state, she carried herself with an elegance that spoke of royalty or leadership. She stumbled, dazed and frightened, and before Ethan could react, she began to fall. Without thinking, he stepped forward and caught her in his arms. I'm okay," she whispered, though her voice was soft and melodic, carrying a tone of authority. She looked at him with wide, wary eyes. "Who are you?" Ethan's mind raced. He could barely believe what he was seeing, but he forced himself to remain calm. "I'm Ethan. You're safe. Don't worry," he said, trying to sound reassuring even though his own heart was racing. He noticed her limp and realized she must be hurt from the crash. Carefully, he carried her to a nearby patch of soft grass. As he laid her down gently, she looked at him with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. "I am Princess Leora," she said finally, the words clear but heavy with an accent that Ethan could not place. I didn't mean to land here. My ship, it malfunctioned." Ethan nodded, unsure how to respond. He had always dreamed of discovering something extraordinary, but he had never imagined it would be a real, living alien, let alone a princess from another world. "Okay, Princess Leora," he said carefully. "We need to get you somewhere safe. Can you move?" She tried to sit up but winced. "No, I cannot. The fall. It is too much." Ethan scanned the area quickly. The woods were quiet, and the sky was clear. But he knew the government had sensors everywhere, and if anyone detected the energy from her ship, they would arrive soon. He had to act fast. Without hesitation, he lifted her into his arms again. It felt strange, carrying someone so small, yet so fragile, yet there was an odd sense of trust in her eyes. He ran toward his apartment, a small place nearby where he lived alone. The building was old, but secure, and he knew it would provide temporary shelter. Along the way, he kept glancing at her. Her skin had a faint glow, pulsing gently, and her eyes flickered as if processing everything around her. She seemed both delicate and unearthly, a combination that made Ethan feel protective and responsible. When they reached his apartment, Ethan laid her down on the couch and grabbed a first aid kit. He gently cleaned a small scrape on her arm and applied a makeshift bandage. She watched him silently, her eyes observing every movement with careful precision. "You humans. You have strange ways of healing," she said softly, almost amused. "But it is effective." Ethan chuckled nervously. "Thanks. I've had some practice." He hesitated, then asked, "Do you want to tell me what happened? How you ended up here?" Leora's eyes softened slightly, though a shadow of worry remained. I am heir to the Valari Empire. My people live in a distant system, far from this planet. My journey was meant to be a simple diplomatic mission, but my ship malfunctioned, and I was ejected before reaching my destination. I am stranded. Ethan felt a thrill of disbelief. An entire civilization, an alien empire, and here she was in his apartment. I guess I should be honored, he said awkwardly, but also worried because the government might not understand. Leora nodded. Yes, they would not. They would see me as a threat. I have no weapons here, but they will not know that. Ethan's mind raced. He had to think fast. If the government found her, she could be captured, studied, or worse. And yet, hiding a royal alien was not a simple task, but he couldn't let her fall into the wrong hands. He took a deep breath. We'll figure this out. I'll help you. For a long moment, she studied him. Then, she finally nodded. A small gesture of trust. You are brave. Human. Most would not act so quickly. Ethan felt a mix of pride and nervousness. Or foolish, he admitted. But right now, it matters more that you're safe. The night stretched on as Ethan improvised. He found blankets, water, and some food that she could consume. Leora watched him carefully, occasionally touching the objects as if assessing their utility. She seemed fascinated by the simplicity of human tools. Yet she also recognized their effectiveness. As dawn approached, the soft light filtering through the curtains revealed her fully. Ethan couldn't help but notice the way she carried herself, even in a moment of vulnerability. There was strength in her posture, intelligence in her gaze, and something profoundly human in her curiosity. She was foreign, yet somehow relatable. Ethan, she said quietly, breaking the silence, your people, you have a potential that you do not yet realize. I can see it. Even in this small interaction. Your courage, your intelligence, your willingness to act, it is remarkable. Ethan felt a mixture of pride and embarrassment. Thanks. I guess. I've always thought humans were ordinary, but maybe ordinary can be useful sometimes. Leora's eyes twinkled faintly. Useful? You are more than that. You are capable of great things. Perhaps even worthy of becoming an ally to my people. Before Ethan could respond, a distant hum echoed through the area, the unmistakable sound of government surveillance drones activating nearby. Panic surged in him. They've found something, he whispered. We need to move. Leora's expression hardened. Then we must act quickly. I cannot remain here. If they capture me, it will cause problems for your world, as well as mine. Ethan's mind raced. He could hide her temporarily, but not for long. He glanced around his apartment, trying to imagine any possible way to evade detection. Then an idea struck him, a decoy, something to distract the drones while they slipped away. He grabbed a metal box, some wires, and a small portable fan, assembling a makeshift device. It wasn't perfect, but it might give them a few precious minutes. Trust me, he said, looking at her. It's risky, but it should work. Leora studied him, then nodded. I trust you, Ethan. I have little choice, but I also sense your intentions are genuine. Ethan activated the device. It buzzed, flickered, and emitted a series of lights that mimicked an energy signature, similar to her ship. Outside, he could hear the drones change course, investigating the false signal. Go, he urged. Quickly. She moved carefully, guided by him, toward a hidden exit he had used before for sneaking in and out of the facility. Every step felt heavy with anticipation. They were risking exposure. Yet neither hesitated. The moment required courage, quick thinking, and trust, a combination that human and alien shared in equal measure. As they emerged into the early morning light, Leora looked around the quiet neighborhood. Your world, it is small. Yet there is promise here, she said softly. Ethan smiled, exhausted but relieved. Promise, huh? I like that. But right now, I just want to get you somewhere safe. Together, they disappeared into the trees, blending into the shadows. Neither spoke for a while, each lost in thought. Ethan marveled at the reality of holding an alien princess in his arms, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of adventure all at once. Leora, meanwhile, silently assessed this strange new world, realizing that perhaps humans were not as primitive as she had once believed. For both of them, the night had changed everything. What began as an accident, the simple act of catching a falling stranger, had become the start of a partnership, one that could reshape the future for both Earth and the distant Velari Empire. And as the first rays of sunlight pierced the horizon, Ethan understood something fundamental. Humanity, despite its limitations, could rise to meet challenges no one else could foresee. Courage, resourcefulness, and the willingness to act, qualities that humans often underestimated in themselves, might one day make them not just survivors, but heroes in a universe far larger and stranger than they had ever imagined. The woods were quiet, but Ethan and Leora both knew it was a deceptive kind of quiet. The government drones had been fooled, but only temporarily. Ethan's heart pounded as he carried her through the undergrowth, careful to avoid broken branches that might snap and give them away. Leora, despite her delicate appearance, moved with surprising grace. Her glowing eyes scanned the surroundings, calculating the safest path, while Ethan tried not to stumble over roots and stones. We need to get to a more secure location, Ethan whispered. Somewhere they won't think to look. Leora nodded. I have seen your cities from above. There is a place humans call the Old Observatory. It is abandoned, yet structurally sound. You could hide me there until my ship returns. Ethan considered this. The observatory was on a hill outside the city, surrounded by thick trees and rocky terrain, perfect for hiding and giving them time to plan. All right, he said. It's a hike, but I think we can make it. As they moved, Leora studied him. You are brave, Ethan. Most humans would freeze, or run, or worse, they would act selfishly. You chose to help me, without knowing who I am. Why? Ethan shrugged. I guess. I've always believed that if you see someone in trouble, you should help. Doesn't matter who they are. That's human instinct, I think. Leora's gaze softened. Your people have strength that is often hidden. I see it now. She paused. Perhaps this is why the Velari have taken interest in your species. You have potential. Ethan felt a mix of pride and confusion. Potential for what? I mean, you're an alien princess. I'm just me. You are more than just you, she said quietly. Actions define worth, not titles or power. You act with honesty and courage, and those are qualities that can shape worlds. Ethan smiled, though his mind was still focused on the path ahead. They reached a small clearing and paused to catch their breath. He gently set Leora down on a fallen log. How long will it take your ship to return? He asked. She frowned slightly. Minutes, perhaps an hour, but the government will soon understand the anomaly. Their sensors will adjust, and their drones will be back. Ethan's stomach tightened. Then we need to move faster. We can't let them find you. He lifted her again, moving with renewed determination. Each step was a careful calculation. One wrong move could expose them. Leora's hands rested lightly on his shoulders, steady, but ready. Though she was not heavy, there was a presence about her. A quiet strength that made Ethan feel more determined rather than burdened. As they climbed the hill toward the observatory, Ethan explained what he knew about the area. The place is mostly abandoned, but it still has power lines connected to the city grid. We can tap into that if needed. It's old, but it'll do for hiding. Leora's eyes sparkled. Humans are resourceful indeed. Even in their primitive structures, they find ways to survive. Ethan chuckled. Primitive, huh? I guess that's one way to put it. By the time they reached the observatory, the sun was rising, casting long shadows across the hill. Ethan carefully helped Leora inside. Dust covered the floors, and cobwebs hung in corners, but structurally the building was sound. They moved to a small room with a view of the surrounding forest. Leora examined the space and nodded. This will work, but we must be prepared. The government will investigate soon. Ethan tapped the window, thinking quickly. We can create distractions, small fires or reflective surfaces to mislead their sensors. I have some materials we can use. Good, Leora said. Every second counts. You are clever. Together, they worked in silence, using mirrors, wires, and small batteries Ethan had brought to make light patterns outside that mimicked the movement of a person. Drones would be attracted to the patterns, buying them more time. Leora observed his methods, clearly impressed. You humans improvise in ways we rarely consider, she said. Your intelligence is not only practical but creative. That combination is rare. Ethan smiled. Thanks. I guess desperate times call for desperate measures. As they finished setting up their improvised distractions, a sudden noise outside caught their attention. The first drone had returned, scanning the area. Ethan and Leora froze, watching through the dusty windows. The drone moved toward the fake signals and hesitated, confused by the unusual patterns. After a tense few moments, it altered its course, chasing a reflection on the opposite hill. Ethan exhaled slowly. That should buy us more time. Leora's eyes shone with respect. You are capable of incredible things, Ethan. Even without advanced technology, your courage and ingenuity rival what my people take years to develop. He shook his head. I'm just trying to survive and help you survive. Sometimes, she said softly, survival is not enough. Sometimes, actions define destiny. You are shaping more than your own path, perhaps even the path of your world. Ethan felt a strange weight in her words. The idea that one human could influence something as vast as interstellar events was overwhelming, yet inspiring. Hours passed, and the sun climbed higher. Ethan shared water and simple food with her, careful to keep her nourished. Leora's energy returned slowly, though she remained cautious. They talked quietly, exchanging stories about their worlds. Ethan learned of Leora's home planet, a place of beauty, technology, and intricate politics. In turn, Leora learned about human ingenuity, our flaws, and our determination. You have something unique here on Earth, she said finally. Despite your limitations, you achieve remarkable feats. Your species has potential beyond your own understanding. Ethan laughed softly. Potential, huh? I like the sound of that. But right now, I'm just glad we're safe. Suddenly, a distant rumble echoed through the forest. Ethan's heart leapt. That can't be good, he whispered. Leora's eyes glowed faintly. They have adapted, she said. Their drones have learned. They will find us. If we do not act. Ethan nodded. Then we need a plan. We can't fight them, but maybe we can outsmart them. He gestured toward a side entrance of the observatory. There's a hidden tunnel that leads to the other side of the hill. If we can get there without being seen, we might escape further into the forest. From there, your ship can find us safely. Leora studied him. You risk much for a human life. Yet, I see no hesitation in your choices. That is rare, even among my people. Ethan smiled nervously. I guess when someone needs help, you just Act. They moved carefully, Ethan guiding her through the darkened corridors and down the narrow tunnel. Each step was tense, the sounds of distant drones constantly reminding them of the danger. Leora's glow illuminated the path just enough for them to see, and Ethan marveled at the strange beauty of her presence. Finally, they emerged on the other side of the hill. The forest stretched out, thick and unwelcoming, but it offered cover. Leora looked up at the sky. "My ship is close. We must signal it." Ethan nodded. "How?" She produced a small, sleek device from her clothing. It emitted a soft, pulsating light. "This is a beacon. It calls my ship without alerting your sensors. We must remain still until it arrives." Ethan and Leora crouched low, hidden among the trees. Minutes passed like hours. Every rustle of leaves, every bird call made Ethan tense. Finally, a streak of light appeared in the sky, moving faster than anything human-made. Leora's eyes brightened. "It has come." The ship descended, landing silently in a small clearing nearby. Its design was elegant, almost organic, and unlike anything Ethan had seen. Leora rose carefully, her hands steady despite exhaustion. "Ethan," she said, looking at him with gratitude, "you have my deepest thanks. You have risked much for me. Your courage, your humanity, it is exceptional." Ethan smiled. "Glad I could help. But, are you sure it's safe for me to stay here?" She shook her head. "Not for long, but I will not forget what you have done. Humanity, you are not weak. You have shown a strength that my people respect. One day, perhaps, our worlds may meet as equals, and I will remember your name." Before he could respond, she activated the beacon. The ship's doors opened, and Ethan watched as Leora disappeared inside. The vessel lifted off silently, disappearing into the sky as quickly as it had arrived. Ethan stood in the clearing, exhausted but inspired. The experience had been surreal. An alien princess, a high-stakes escape, the thrill of danger and ingenuity. And yet, in that moment, he understood something essential. Humanity, despite its smallness in the universe, had courage, creativity, and a moral compass that could impress even the most advanced civilizations. He returned to the observatory one last time, looking out over the forest. The world felt different now. He was the same human he had always been, yet somehow larger, connected to a universe far greater than he had imagined. And somewhere out there, Princess Leora would remember him. She would remember the human who had caught her in his arms by accident, and in doing so, had changed the course of events not just for her, but potentially for Earth itself. Ethan smiled. Humanity had survived, and it had the potential to thrive. Perhaps, one day, humans would rise to meet the stars, not as primitive beings, but as a species capable of greatness. For now, he turned and walked back through the forest, carrying with him the knowledge that even an ordinary human could make an extraordinary difference.